What's going on, everybody? Want to welcome you into the first episode of the Philly Faithful Podcast. My name is Troy, and I'll be guiding you on this new journey that we are about to embark on. A little bit about me. I've had a few podcasts in the past, a couple of national baseball podcasts. I am the third man currently on the First Pitch podcast, which is a national baseball podcast. And I also write for Sports Illustrated currently. You can find my writings over there, and you can find me on socials at Troy B Baseball. But thank you for joining us today in the first episode of the Philly Faithful Podcast. Make sure you like, comment, rate, subscribe, give us that 5-star rating. It helps our show get out to more people just like you. But we're going to jump right on into it today, and we are going to take a look back at yesterday's Phillies game number 162. And what better time to start a new Philadelphia Phillies baseball coverage podcast than at the end of the regular season. But yeah, game number 162, the Phillies won that game. Nola started it. He was looking to get to 200 innings, but he just barely missed getting to the 200 inning mark. He finished the 2024 season with 199 and a third innings. It would have been his fifth 200 inning season. He is just the epitome of a workhorse. He is the quintessential workhorse in Major League Baseball today, and it is insane what he has been able to do over his career. He's had 32 or more starts since 2018, not including the 2020 COVID shortened season, of course. And that's unheard of in baseball today. Pitchers just don't do that. Even other guys like Sandy Alcantara missed all of this year because of Tommy John surgery. And it's been insane watching Aaron Nola since he debuted almost 10 years ago now, just be able to go every fifth day in and day out, and qualify for the ERA title and then some every year, and make 32 starts plus every single year. It's insane what he's been doing, and he's one of my favorite Philadelphia Phillies, hands down, of all time, just because of the longevity and the ability that he has to go out there every fifth day and do what he does. But with him missing 200 innings the day before on Saturday, Zach Wheeler actually did hit the 200 innings mark for the second time in his career, both coming while as a member of the Phillies. But with Aaron Nola missing the 200 innings mark, the Phillies have not had two 200 or more innings starting pitchers since 2014. And those two pitchers that did that were Cole Hamels and A.J. Burnett. Who remembers the A.J. Burnett era of the Phillies? I do. And 2014 was not great. That was right there near the beginning of the rebuild of the Philadelphia Phillies that seemed to take forever, but we are finally out of it. Thank the Lord. Rob Thompson left Aaron Nola in too long in the quest for 200 innings, and it's becoming a pattern for Rob Thompson. That's just something that he does regularly. He leaves guys in too long, and it's an issue. I've said it before, and I will say it again. Rob Thompson is not a good game manager. What he's best at is keeping the clubhouse vibes high, and that's not really what you need on a World Series contending team. You have enough guys in the clubhouse, Garrett Stubbs, Brandon Marsh, Matt Strahm. They alone can keep the clubhouse vibes high. You don't need the manager to do that. You need your manager to be making the right managerial moves and decisions. And that's just not what Rob Thompson is. He's stuck with guys way too long in the past. He stuck with Aaron Nola too long, just trying to get him to that 200 inning mark, which is commendable, yes, but you also got to win games. And yes, the Phillies were locked into their position in the playoffs. And yes, winning or losing yesterday's game, it didn't matter. Of course, winning got the Phillies to 95 wins on the season, which is a very nice mark. But if you have a manager that makes the right managerial moves, you got to think that the Phillies team this year could have hit 100 wins easily, if not closer to 105. The Phillies objectively have the best roster top to bottom in Major League Baseball this year. It's the deepest roster, and they haven't really dealt with injuries all that much. Yes, Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber missed a week and a half each, going out in the same game, both with hammy injuries. And, JT Realmuto had knee surgery, and he's a catcher, but he still came back and he has been catching like he never had knee surgery. And Trey Turner missed a month, but disregarding those, the Phillies have not had major injuries like teams like the Atlanta Braves or the Los Angeles Dodgers or the Baltimore Orioles or the Minnesota Twins have. And with the roster that the Phillies have, if you have a manager that makes the right moves, you easily win 100 games with this roster. It's kind of frustrating watching Rob Thompson day in and day out just make questionable decisions left and right. But that's who we got, and it could be worse. The Phillies could still have Joe Girardi as their manager and probably not be in playoff contention at all, because while Rob Thompson is not good at being a manager, Joe Girardi proved that he is even worse. So it could always be worse. And another thing the Phillies need to look to alleviate going into the playoffs is Carlos Estevez. The trade deadline as a whole for the Philadelphia Phillies really was a failure. Tanner Banks is the best piece that the Phillies brought in at the trade deadline, and he's nothing more than a lefty specialist or long innings guy. Austin Hayes has been hurt for the majority of his tenure with the Phillies so far, and then when he's not hurt, again, Rob Thompson tries to force Austin Hayes into an everyday role, and Austin Hayes is not an everyday player. Austin Hayes is a guy that you can only play him against left-handed pitchers. He's not going to hit right-handed pitching. He's not. You cannot force Austin Hayes into an everyday role. It's just not going to happen. And Carlos Estevez, while he may have been the closer on the Los Angeles Angels, who have not been relevant for 10 years outside of having Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani, he's not the closer on a playoff contending, World Series contending team. He could be a middle reliever. That's fine. But he is not a closer. And he's proven that time and time again. Yes, he has 6 saves with the Phillies, but saves are kind of an antiquated stat in this day and age. He's not a good reliever. He needs to be at the front end of the bullpen with guys like Tanner Banks and guys like Jose Ruiz. And he has proven that time and time again. This season with the Phillies, he's got a 3.83 fielding independent pitching. He has a 1.19 whip, which means he gives up 1.19 base runners per innings pitched while he's with the Phillies. He's allowed 8 runs total, not earned, 8 runs total in his 18 games that he has pitched for the Phillies, and that's not good. Yesterday, he loaded the bases, and it took a fantastic catch in left field from Cody Clemens banging into the wall to save multiple runs from scoring. And he would have blown that game if Cody Clemens did not catch that ball. If Cody Clemens didn't catch that ball put in play would have blown that game, because all 3 runners were scoring because there were 2 outs and they were moving on the crack of the bat. And it's insane to me that yet again, Rob Thompson continues to try to force the issue and force guys into roles that they are not fit for. And it's not going to work, and it will never work. And the Phillies need to stick with guys like Matt Strahm or Jeff Hoffman. Go with the closer by committee. Use what you need. If you got an inning full of with more right-handed batters coming up, go with Jeff Hoffman. If you got an inning full with more left-handers than right-handers coming up, go with Matt Strahm. Those are your 2 best options. Those are the options that you need to go with. The closer role really as a whole is becoming antiquated in baseball because it doesn't work. You shouldn't use your best reliever, and I'm not saying Carlos Estevez is the best reliever, even though he is technically in the closer role right now. You should not use your best reliever in the 9th inning. The 9th inning is not always when you need your best reliever. That's not the most high leverage situation every time. Up 3 runs against the 7, 8, and 9 hitter of the Chicago White Sox, you don't need to put in your best reliever. You could put in your worst reliever and give them a save, and they'd be fine. And they would get out of the inning fine. What you need is to use Matt Strahm or Jeff Hoffman in the highest leverage situations, day in, day out. No questions about it. Carlos Estevez should not be used in high leverage situations. The same with Jose Alvarado. He has proven this year that he is just not built for that role anymore. And it's Rob Thompson trying to force the issue. I didn't intend to come on here and pile on Rob Thompson as much as I have today, but it's the more you think about it, the more the issues the Phillies do have, they boil down to Rob Thompson trying to force the issue, and it's just not going to work. But we're going to move on. We're going to give out some season awards for some players on the team this year. And for reference, I am not going to give the MVP to Bryce Harper. He's got 2 actual MVPs already, and I mean, it's just a given that Bryce Harper is the team's MVP year in and year out. So we're going to give him a different award. We are going to give Bryce Harper the Gold Glove Award because this was his first full season at first base. He transitioned from right field to first base. He spent some time there last season. Yes, this is his first full season at first base, and he has been a godsend at first base. He ranks in the 81st percentile in fielding run value per Baseball Savant with 5, and that is insane. He also ranks in the 92nd percentile in outs above average with 7. That's all fielders. That's not just at first baseman. That's all fielders. And hands down, he has been the National League Gold Glove winner at first base. If he's not given the Gold Glove at first base this year in the National League, then the voters need to take a look at themselves because there has been no one better that has not spent their first season at first base. If anyone's been better, it's Freddie Freeman or Christian Walker. Christian Walker was hurt for a good chunk of the year, but Christian Walker and Freddie Freeman have both played first base for their entire career. Bryce Harper has not. He came from right field and DHing. So Bryce Harper is the most deserving of the Gold Glove at first base. And that's just not because he's a member of the Philadelphia Phillies. That's because he's fantastic defensively at first base. I mean, he's still got some learning to do on some things. There are a couple of plays here and there that he could have made a different choice than he made. But his first season at first base, he still has 7 outs above average. He is fantastic at first base, and it's just insane how great he is in his first season at first base. We're going to move on to Silver Slugger. Silver Slugger for the team, and I'm not giving multiple awards to more than one player, so Silver Slugger on the team is going to Kyle Schwarber. He is fantastic. He is hands down, far and away, the best leadoff hitter in baseball that has spent more than just half the season at leadoff hitter. Cough, cough, Shohei Ohtani, cough, cough. Kyle Schwarber ended the year with a 248, 366, 485 line, 38 home runs, 104 RBI from the leadoff spot. That's all he only hit from the leadoff spot this year. He has 104 RBI. 106 walks, led the National League in walks. The only 2 people in baseball with more walks than Kyle Schwarber this season are Aaron Judge and Juan Soto. Aaron Judge, most of his are intentional, and Juan Soto is the best walk taker in baseball. And come next season, the Philadelphia Phillies and their fans might understand why, if he is in fact in those red pinstripes as is expected. Kyle Schwarber set the Major League Baseball record for single season home runs from the leadoff spot this year. And he is, again, he's just been fantastic. What he's done this year, he's completely changed his approach to where now he hits better against left-handers than he does against right-handers, which is insane. Kyle Schwarber has just been fantastic year in and year out. Out of the 2 players that the Phillies signed in that offseason, Kyle Schwarber and Nick Castellanos, Kyle Schwarber has hands down been the better of the 2. And it's honestly surprised me when both those contracts were signed. I thought that Nick Castellanos was going to be the better of the 2, and he has really been a disappointment and not been all that great with the Phillies in his tenure, whereas Kyle Schwarber has been one of the best players on the team and a top 25 player hitter in baseball since signing with the Phillies year in and year out, and that has been very surprising to me. And next up, we're going to go to our best reliever. I actually mentioned his name earlier, and we're going to give best reliever this year to Matt Strahm. Matt Strom pitched 62 and 2/3 innings of relief, 79 strikeouts, 14 total runs allowed. Again, not just earned runs, total runs in 66 appearances. He has a 2.18 ERA plus this year, which means that he is 118% better than league average. That is absolutely just insane. And big thing that he's done this year is he has been Ohtani's kryptonite. Ohtani has come up to plate with Matt Strom on the mound in a big situations, and Matt Strom has handled him mightily well. Ohtani is 0 for 3 against Matt Strom this season with 1 strikeout, and you may remember that 1 strikeout came back in July in the series in Philadelphia, where the Phillies swept the Dodgers, and he has just been fantastic. Matt Strom, day in and day out, he's been a guy that you could turn to and just expect good innings. And he went to the All-Star game this year along with 7 other Phillies pitchers. He was named an All-Star, and Matt Strom has been the best reliever. It could have went to Jeff Hoffman. Jeff Hoffman did give up a big home run a couple days ago. I think it was Saturday, but Matt Strom or Jeff Hoffman, either one, have been the Phillies' best reliever this year. And the team Cy Young, you really can't give it to anybody else. It's got to go to Zach Wheeler. Wheeler pitched 200 innings, 2.57 ERA, 224 strikeouts, a career high 158 ERA plus, which means that he has been 58% better than league average. And if Sale does not start in the potential doubleheader today, in my opinion, Zach Wheeler should be the National League Cy Young. He's got Sale by a lot in innings pitched, and the ERA difference is not that drastic. And Wheeler has just been like Aaron Nola, which is crazy because Wheeler dealt with injuries for the entire tenure of his with the Mets. Wheeler has been year in and year out qualifying for the ERA title and been one of, if not the best pitcher in baseball year in and year out. He's contended for the National League Cy Young Award. Probably should have won it a couple years ago and probably should win it this year. It honestly just depends on if Sale pitch and if Sale pitches today. And if Sale does pitch today and he gets shelled, then Zach Wheeler is hands down the National League Cy Young. At this moment, how it stands, I would give it to Wheeler. I might be a little biased, but it is debatable. If Sale goes today and he does what he's done all year, then I would be fine with Sale getting it. But if Sale does go today and get shelled, hands down, it's Wheeler. Wheeler is fantastic. He is the team's ace, and it's going to be exciting to watch him in the playoffs again this season. Just shut the door on other playoff teams. And then finally, we're going to give our team MVP of the year. Who do you think it is? Go ahead real quick. Leave it in the comments. Let me know who you think it is before I say it. But in my opinion, the team MVP this season, again, excluding Bryce Harper, Alec Bohm. Alec Bohm has just turned a corner this year. He has been one of the best and most consistent hitters on the team this season. When the team is slumping, he wasn't. In that giant slump from the beginning of the second half of the season through half of August, if not the 3/4 mark of August, Alec Bohm was still doing what Alec Bohm does, and that's hitting the ball to the gaps. It seems as if he changed his approach this year and learned that he's not really a home run hitter. He's more of a gap-to-gap line drive hitter, and it has worked out well for him. He's hit 280, 332, 448 on the year with 44 doubles, 97 RBI. And he's also improved his defense drastically. It's a night and day difference from where Alec Bohm was just last year defensively at the hot corner, and that has been just it's helped the Phillies tremendously with the improvements that he's made defensively. I mean, everybody remembers when he said he hates this place, talking about the Phillies. Yes, he came out and said after that it was more he hates this place, this mindset, this bad defensiveness when he made, I think it was 3 errors in the same inning a couple years ago, but he's not that guy anymore. He has a positive outs above average number now per Baseball Savant. I don't have that number. I probably should have gotten it, but I was half asleep when I made the rundown today and didn't get that number. But he has just improved tremendously. It's easy to see he's making plays that he never would have made in years past, and to me, he's been the team MVP. If he wouldn't have hurt his hand and missed 2 weeks of September, he probably would have gotten to 50 doubles. Easily would have gotten to 100 RBI because he's sitting at 97 right now. And he did kind of change his approach over the last week or so, or really since being back from the hand injury, to trying to press, trying to get home runs, trying to hit with runners in scoring position, get those RBIs to get to 100. But other than that, his approach this year has been fantastic, hitting the ball in the gaps, just putting the ball in play. He doesn't strike out much. I think he is second on the team in guys that qualify in plate appearances for strikeouts, and he has less than 100 strikeouts on the season. And in 2024, that's not something that you see every day. And to me, Alec Bohm is easily the MVP for the Phillies this year. Next, we're going to look ahead to the playoffs. As most of you know, today there is a potential doubleheader. There could be one game. There could be two games. There is at least one between the Mets and the Braves, making up for last week's postponed games because of Hurricane Helene. And it's a crazy situation. The Braves are either the 5 seed or they're out, and the Mets need to win at least one to get in. If they split, they're both in. If one team wins both, they're in. The other team is out. So it's going to be fun to watch. The Braves can either play the Padres or nobody, and the Mets can play the Brewers or nobody. So it's going to be fun to watch. Kind of need to pay attention to see what's going to happen because the Phillies don't play until the weekend at the earliest, and this could be pretty telling of who we are going to face in the NLDS round. And it's going to be either the Mets or the Brewers. And the Brewers are the National League Central champions, but they are the 3rd seed, so they are the only division champions in the National League that will be playing in the wild card round. But who would you rather face? Would you rather face the Brewers or the Mets? And for me, I would rather face the Brewers. The Brewers have the weaker roster. Yes, they are the division champions for the National League Central, but when you look at the National League Central, it's kind of a weak division. And the Phillies have fared better against the Brewers. The Phillies went 4-2 versus Milwaukee this year, whereas they've only gone 7-6 versus the New York Mets. Yes, it is a winning record against both, but it's a better win percentage against the Milwaukee Brewers. Honestly, I don't have any fear of facing either team in either matchup. The Phillies, again, have the best roster top to bottom. They are built for the playoffs. And in a 5-game series, the Phillies can handle business and take on either team. But if it were up to me, I would rather face the Brewers. The Brewers have the worst rotation of the two. The Brewers have the worst lineup of the two. The Brewers have the upper hand in the bullpen, especially with Devin Williams. But when you look at the lineups, I mean, the Mets have Pete Alonso. They have Jeff McNeil, Brandon Nimmo, Francisco Lindor returned, Luis Angel Acuna. Probably not how you pronounce his name, but that's how I'm going to say it right now. He has been just pretty a revolution for the Mets since he debuted, and it was like Francisco Lindor never missed any time with him playing because he has just been a fantastic hitter for them. And I've been joking with my Braves fan friends and asking if the Mets have the better Acuna. And, Lindsey from First Pitch, I asked him that. He said, don't do that. But he has been fantastic for them since he debuted earlier this month. And again, I would rather face the Brewers than the Mets in the NLDS. but I'm not worried about either of them. I think the Phillies can win handily against either of them. It might not be a sweep. It could be in 4 games. I doubt that either team could take the Phillies to 5, especially against the Phillies pitching staff. But I would rather face the Brewers than the Mets. But that is going to be all for us today. Normally in the regular season, the show would probably be daily. Not really sure how we're going to do it right now. So make sure you follow me on socials at Troy B Baseball to find out when the next episode will go live. Might be Wednesday, might wait until the playoffs on Friday. Not sure. Really just depends on how the week goes. If there's any news that deserves podcasting about. But make sure you like, subscribe, leave a comment. I'll read some comments on the show, and make sure you give us that 5-star rating on your podcast listening service, because it helps get this show out to more Phillies fans just like you. Check out my other podcast where I am the third man, First Pitch, our national baseball podcast. It goes daily. I am on there with Lindsey Crosby and Christian Rao, and it's a fun podcast. We have a good time. We talk about baseball on a national level. But until next time, I've been Troy. You've been awesome. Peace, love, and rock and roll. I'm out. Bye.